Okay, so just running through the parts and use of a plane in this video. Planes are used for taking off shavings of timber that we don't want. That could be either to smoothen out the surface to get it ready for sanding. It could be to tidy up a joint which might have little bits sticking out once you've glued it together and it's dried. It may be to square off timber if the edges aren't at 90 degrees, or it may be just to put a slight chamfer on the corner of a piece of timber. General use plane here, which is known as a jack plane. This is the type of plane this is. There are other types of planes, but this is the one that you would use for almost getting you out of most situations. The parts of the plane are pretty common across all the different types. So you'll have a handle at the back which you will hold on to, and you'll have a knob at the front here which you'll hold with your other hand. So it's a two-handed tool. Both of those are screwed down or bolted down onto the main body of the plane, which you can see is made out of the steel here. And then the piece that does the actual cutting, very like a chisel, is the blade. And the blade is pitched at an angle, as you can see. That will differ depending on the manufacturer of the plane and also depending on what type of plane it is. Like I said, this is a jack plane, so it'll be for general use. The blade itself is held down by the cap iron, which is just on top of the plane of the blade. And what the cap iron does is when you're shaving bits of timber off, you'll see that they naturally kind of begin to curl up, and it's the cap iron that's putting that curl on them. That prevents the timber from clogging up in the mouth of the plane down below, which we'll show in a second. And then all of that is held down by your lever cap, and your lever cap is this piece here, which you can hopefully see, and that will lock down into place and basically clamps everything down. So once you have it all clamped down in place in the tool, you can then make adjustments to the blade depending on whether you want it to be extruding out by a large amount, a small amount. That'll differ the types of shavings that you get. And also you can change the angle of it with your adjusting lever, which is just beside your handle here. So you can put that to the left and the right, and that'll change the angle of the blade as it's sticking out from the mouth of the plane. And then a piece that I mentioned just before, this is your adjustment lever here, and what that'll do is that will extend out the blade or it'll retract it, and that will obviously make a difference to the type of shavings that you get off your timber. So the sole of the plane is underneath it, and the mouth of the plane is just here, and what will happen is as you adjust the blade, it'll extrude out or it'll retract in, again, like I said, depending on what type of shaving you want to do. Generally you should try and have it to a thin enough setting, because if your blade is sharp, it means that the piece will run off quite smooth. It'll take less effort to run it across, and it'll give you a better finish. If you're looking to remove large amounts of shavings at a time, you could put the blade to a larger setting and have it sticking out further. So you adjust that once you're happy with how much the blade is sticking out. So hopefully you can see something of what I'm talking about there. The blade is sticking out just a tiny amount. It's nice and parallel, so I don't need to make any adjustments with my lever. And the whole idea of the plane is to run it across timber so that I can remove shavings. So what I'll do is I'll just make a mark on the top surface of this timber in pen, and you can see once I run the plane over it, hopefully it will have taken off an even shaving the whole way across. So I'll clamp that up. Just a point on leaving the plane down. I would have started off the video like this, just so you can actually see the shape of the plane. But when you're leaving a plane down on a desk, it's preferable to leave it on its side. And the reason is because the blade is sticking out from the mouth. And because of that, if you leave it down flat on your table surface, it could damage or make the blade blunt. So you try to avoid that by just leaving it down on its side. So when you're using the plane, like I said, you have your hand at the back with the handle, and you're also holding the front of it, and you're going to try and run it across the timber and get an even shave the whole way across. Our cap iron, like I said, is what makes the timber curl up, which prevents it from clogging up on it. Okay, and a nice even shaving will look like so. You can see the pen marks. You can see very little difference in the thickness of the piece as it goes through, and you're covering the whole width of your timber as well. You're not taking off just one section of it. So that'll give you a nice smooth finish. And obviously you can run that across a couple of times and you're looking for that kind of sharp noise, which means that your blade is nice and sharp, and you don't need to worry about putting in too much effort to it, and you get your nice shavings like so. So that's your general use jack plane. Leave it on its side. I'll just put it up like that one more time so you can see the profile of it. But you have your handle, your knob at the front. You have an adjustment lever here which will change the depth of the blade. You have a lateral lever here which will adjust the angle at which the blade is at. And it's all kept down with your lever cap which clamps the whole thing down and keeps it in place.